The show begins in three. The generic live show, not being racist since 2015. It begins in three, two, and a one. 8 out of 10 fictional doctors say that you should start your day the generic live show way. This is the generic live show. Thanks for joining us here on the generic live show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. It's the generic live show. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're listening to us live or on your hard drive, it is the generic live show for a Sunday. It is a Sunday. I'm still a bit razzled from something that happened in the pre-show. This is the magical thing about doing a pre-show before the show is, you get a bit razzled and you do things and you lose track of time, and that it happens. And if you want to watch the show live, you can at twitch.tv/generic live show or simulcast on geek-io.net. It's available there. Podcast, all of the regular outlets that you would enjoy podcasts. You can watch it there, or you can watch the video version of just me talking. Hi. On YouTube at youtube.com/generic live show. Now, I was a bit hesitant to make this story the top story to talk about at the top of the show here, but it's something that kind of dominated the better half of today, question mark, if you want to call, if you prefer halves of days, then this story kind of dominated headlines today and kind of over the week, and it's unavoidable. So the headline reads: Congress reaches deal on Russia sanctions, setting up tough choice for Trump. Tough choice for Trump. So dump Trump. Yeah, there you go. Congressional leaders have reached an arrangement sweeping sanctions legislations to punish Russia for its election meddling and aggression towards its neighbors. They said Saturday, defying the White House agreement that President Trump needs flexibility to adjust the sanctions to fit diplomatic incentives with Moscow. The new legislation would sharply limit the president's ability to suspend or terminate the sanctions, a remarkable handcuffing by a Republican-led Congress 6 months into Trump's tenure. It is also the latest Russia-tinged turn for a presidency consumed by investigations into the Trump campaign interactions with Russian officials, including conversations between Trump advisors and Russian officials about prospective sanctions relief. Now, Mr. Trump could face a decision he had hoped to avoid: veto the bill, a move that would fuel accusations that he is doing the bidding of President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia, or sign legislation imposing sanctions his administration has opposed. So basically, Trump's in a deadlock. This will be fun. What do you think Trump will do here? Let's play a fun game. What will Trump do in this situation? I bet that Trump would try. That's the thing though. If Trump vetoes it, it kind of looks like that he'll be kind of working with Russia as opposed to with kind of, as opposed to trying to keep everyone happy and keep these sanctions alive, if that makes sense. It kind of looks bad either way, and you kind of don't want that to look right. But also, here's the theme music, 2 hours. Yeah, there you go. There we go. What will Trump do? Alright, that's the new theme song. What will Trump do in this situation? So, Trump either does one of two things. Again, vetoes the bill or does nothing. Both are bad things to do, and I think because it's hard when you're friends with someone, and then okay, so let's make this smaller. Dale analogy time on our new favorite game to play. What will Trump do? To make it a smaller analogy, think of it like this. Think of it as there are two people in the playground, and you're friends with that person in the playground, but they do illegal things and you don't, and you really want to stay friends with them, but you really want to dob them in for doing these really, really bad things, but you really want to stay friends with them at the same time. You kind of have a conflict of what to do. But I suppose when you think of it like as a country, back to Trump and Putin, you kind of have to go, well, there's whole countries in stake. The whole quote unquote school is at stake in this thing. What should he do? Me personally, I think he should have these sanctions put on him, because if it's found out that if he did have sanctions on. Sorry, if he did fiddle with the U.S. election, he has to be told that no, that's not okay to do that. Here's a punishment. But again, doesn't want to hurt his friend. That concludes our favorite segment of what should Trump do. Okay, there you go. I had to pull that song up. I get some points for that, right? Don't I? Quote, a nearly united Congress is poised to send President Putin a clear mission on behalf of the American people and our allies. That's what I was saying. There's a whole country at stake that isn't just Trump in this case, said Senator Benjamin L. Cardin of Maryland, the top Democrat on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And, quote, and we need President Trump to help us deliver that message, unquote. The bill aims to punish Russia not only for the interference in the election, but also its annexation of Crimea, continuing military activity in the eastern Ukraine, and human rights abuses. Proponents of the measure seek to impose sanctions on people involved with human rights abuses, supplies of weapons to the government President Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and those undermining cybersecurity, among others. The arrangement highlighted the gap between what President Trump sees a proper approach and resurgent Russia, how lawmakers, even Republicans who broadly support Mr. Trump, want to proceed. Mr. Trump has dangled the possibility of negotiating a deal to lift sanctions. Mr. Putin's top objective, the congressional response, is to expand them. The White House did not publicly respond to the legislation, but two senior administration officials said that they cannot imagine Mr. Trump vetoing the current measure in the political atmosphere, even if he regards it as interfering with his executive authority to conduct foreign policy. Still, as ever, Mr. Trump remains the capacity to surprise, and it would not be the first decision about whether to veto a significant bill. I sincerely hope that President Trump doesn't veto this bill. I certainly hope. I have faith in the President of the United States of America that he will not veto these sanctions. But in saying that, there has been twists and turns in relation to the person in question, as well as activities surrounding the person in question. I will say it that way. That is the diplomatic version of doing this. Da da da. Yeah, there you go. That's definitely the diplomatic version to say that sentence. It's, wow, Dale, not self-conscious about saying anything that may be held against him in 30-something days. That's just calm it down. Just a little. But I think, yeah, again, rock and hard place, and I don't think that the President of the United States has really faced a situation like this that he is finding a hard time getting out of, if that makes sense. There's been times where he's been put in tough situations and he's been able to whittle his way out, but I don't think that this is one of those times. I think he's stuck now, as the Trump tracker used to say. Which, by the way, Trump tracker, still no more. But we've got this story, we got these stories at the top of the show to compensate, you know? Like I said at the top of the show, we got rid of the Trump tracker last week, by the way. It's no more. We're replacing it with review of a review, which is A, funnier, and B, is more popular. Particularly, you know, there's a ton of movies out that I can be making fun of. Making fun of people who review those movies, which is so meta that I still can't get over how meta that is. But, you know, that's more of a funny series than Trump Tracker was. Speaking of which, Anthony Scaramucci's path of calling Donald Trump a hack to becoming the White House communications director. Speaking of Trump surprising.
The first thing I want to say is.
Excuse me.
The first thing I want to say.
No, you do. First thing you want to say is be quiet for Dale's podcast. These squad leaders pays tribute to Sean Spicer as he is a true American patriot. Donald Trump's communication team got quite a shake-up after hiring of Anthony as the new White House communications director. The move prompted Press Secretary Sean Spicer to allegedly give Mr. Trump a hit or me ultimatum. What? So the guy who sent Mr. Packer. So what happened? Like Mr. Trump, he used to be a Democrat and even raised more money for the former President Barack Obama. Oh boy. But for the communications director, that sort of politics wouldn't really come into it, would it? That's really not something that would come into it much, I wouldn't think. You're there to communicate Mrs. Sanders was the previous deputy press secretary under Mr. Spicer. Mr. Scorsese will be communications director. So here is him. Here's the new communications director going after Mr. Trump here. This is courtesy of Fox Business.
You know, we had a tremendous rally in Alabama, and people came up and they said, you know, you're treating us fairly. The hedge fund guys are paying nothing.
Okay,
what
that's
they do is
Trump.
they move around pay.
papers?
I'm moving around paper right now.
Here we
Miranda.
go.
That's another hack politician.
You called Donald Trump a hack?
He's a hack politician.
you're in
He's
trouble
probably
now.
going to make Elizabeth Warren his vice presidential
Oh.
nominee with comments like that.
Do you think he's a
It's
plant?
anti-American. It's very, very divisive.
You think Donald's a
And
plant,
I'll
like
tell you
Hillary
who he's
Clinton?
going to be president of. You can tell Donald I said this. The Queens County Bullies Association. You got to cut it out now and stop all this crazy rhetoric spinning everybody's
I
heads
like
around.
how you say that now, but
Okay.
I've had a problem with the way he talked about women for years. And now
By the
he
way,
goes
I
after
don't like the
you.
way he talks about women. I don't like the way he talks about our friend Megyn Kelly. And you know what? The politicians don't want to go at Trump because he's got a big mouth and he's afraid he's going to light him up on Fox News and all these other places. But I'm not a politician. Bring it.
All right, so why is he
You're an
resonating? Why is
inherited
he
money
resonating?
dude from Queens County. Bring it, Donald.
Oh, yeah, that is a paste. So now, here's what he says when now he's taking over the current communications director, Sean Spicer.
I want to thank personally Sean Spicer, not only on behalf of myself, the president, the administration, but Sean is a true American patriot. He's a military serviceman. He's got a great family, and he's done an amazing job. This is obviously a difficult situation to be in, and I applaud his efforts here, and I love the guy, and I wish him well, and I hope he goes on to make a tremendous amount of money. He was my first call this morning. I met with him before we sat in the Oval Office, and we are committed as true professionals to the team and the process of getting the administration's message out. And I think that's going to be one of the big goals for us. I said during the transition, I'll say it up here, I think there's been at times a disconnect between the way we see the president and how much we love the president and the way some of you perhaps see the president. And I certainly see the American people probably see the president the way I do. But we want to get that message out there. And, you know, remember, I'm a business person. And
Okay, no, hold the phone. The press secretary wants the American people to see the president as, in his words, not mine, not Dale Campbell of Queensland, Australia. Yeah, by the way, that's why you watch the video show, is my facial reactions and my hands flailing everywhere. Is he called the president a hack? Now, he wants to spread that message to the American people? Not helpful. Okay. Moving along, because we got a montage for you.
so
coming
what
up.
happens in business a lot of the times is you have some rotation in personnel as you're making changes, and you have lifestyle choices that people are also making. I would love to have Sean here. Sean decided that he thought it would be better to go, and for me, as it relates to Sean, it speaks volumes to who he is as a human being, who he is as a team player. Okay, so his attitude is, if Anthony's coming in, let me clear the slate for Anthony, and I do appreciate that about Sean, and I love him for it. But I don't have any friction with Sean. I don't have any friction with Reince.
That's good to know, by the way, that you don't have any harsh feelings towards the previous communications director about that. I'm glad that things kind of transitioned in that sort of way very, very peacefully and very, very diplomatically, I suppose, in that way. But let's pay tribute to Sean Spicer. I feel like we owe it to him.
Of course, for weeks we've been hearing reports that the rather beleaguered White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer was about to be replaced. But according to the New York Times, he's still there because nobody else wants the job, literally. Even though Spicer has been toiling to hire somebody else, asking several times, even when at first they say no, please take my job.
Oh, look, as Trump Twitter would say, sad. In the meantime, Sean's wound back his daily briefings, and frankly, we miss him already. Sean, don't go! Bye-bye.
Alright, here's the Sean Spicer moment.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
I mean, just the other day, he sat down with Martin Luther King Jr. Well, first of all, it's not a travel ban. I mean, he's using the words that the media is using. But at the end of the day, it can't... Hold on. It can't be... It can't be...
The president himself called it a ban.
I understand.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm not confused. Your pen's upside down. John Roberts always helping with the fashion check.
It's still upside down.
When we talk about wiretapping, he meant surveillance.
You're coming to some serious conclusions for a guy that has zero intelligence class.
Someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to
to using chemical weapons.
Hey, Sean.
Aww. The organisation.
Photographs of the inaugural proceedings were intentionally framed in a way, in one particular tweet, to minimize...
no, that's not my favourite. Where's my favourite? My favourite is the... is it? No, it's not here. Oh, he mispronounced.
The president had a very cordial conversation with Prime Minister Trumbull. So he has ensured that while he has respect for the Australian people, respect for Prime Minister Trumbull, that he do not pose a threat to the United States.
Oh my God, that is great. President Trump, Prime Minister Trumbull. And we're like a dryer. We're like a dryer. I want to play that again. This is good.
The president had a very cordial conversation with Prime Minister Trumbull. So he has
Prime Minister Trumbull
ensured that while he has respect for the Australian people, respect for Prime Minister Trumbull, that we do not pose a threat to the United States of America.
Prime Minister Trumbull. Oh my God, that is the greatest thing. That has made my day. I've had a long day, but that has certainly made my day. President Trumbull. Sean Spicer will miss you calling our Prime Minister Trumbull. So, there you go. Wow. Prime Minister Trumbull. Alright, as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, how a money-saving expert feeds her family on $40 a week. Ooh. Do you want to feed your family for $40 a week? Here's how you can do it. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure as always. It's 9:22.
Hey you! Yes you, fine listener of this program. You can help us become more than what we already are. I know, it's a revolution. Hold on to your butts because I'm about to give you a URL address that could change our lives. Not really, but it would help us out tremendously if you went over to geek-io.net/support so we can do a lot more than what we're actually doing now. That website actually has a lot of links on it where you can help us out monthly through Patreon at our Patreon site at patreon.com/geekio, or you can help us out once off by supporting those who support us. But then you can become the ones who support us, who support you, who support us. It's supportception. To continue this supportception, it's in your hands. Go to geek-io.net/support to keep this ever-long cycle of support up. Thank you.
Hold on tight. This is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. We're doing it for Geek.io. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show. Whether you're listening to us live, twitch.tv/Generic Live Show, geek-io.net/Generic Live Show, or later on your hard drive. We're everywhere. So this money-saving expert feeds her family for $40 a week. What's her tips? Well, when Anna Peterson, when PP calculated that she could feed her family dinner for $1.02 a serve, she was not happy. I said to my husband, I am upset about that 2 cents, she told ABC Radio's Melbourne Claire Bowwitch. The Melbourne-based blogger and author learned that her extreme saving methods while living in regional Western Australia. She and her husband She and her husband, lived there for a year in 2004, finding themselves $50,000 in debt. Oh. We packed a whole flat that we were living in at a time into a van and drove it to across the Nullarbor, she said. Or in the Nullarbor, either way. She said the move broke them away from the temptations of Melbourne living. In the city, we are all spending. We are going out every weekend, she says. But that's true. And that's a Melbourne, that is a very Melbourne thing to do, is to go out every single weekend and eat that and just eat and chill and just go out and do various activities. Let me tell you, I went there last August, and man, it is a fantastic city, but boy, it would be expensive to eat out all the time. So I can feel the pain, but just don't have smashed avocado and you can afford a house, right? That's what Prime Minister Tumble says. You have to listen to that. You'd have to listen to the first segment to get that joke. Alright, so avoid the supermarket, Miss Peterson says. Miss Peterson said her savings room blog contains thousands of tips for keeping the household budget under control. The main way she saves money by avoiding the supermarket. I'm shopping once every 5 weeks at the supermarket, she says. What? She says the biggest killer of household finances was trips to the shop for milk. Huh. Okay. Supermarkets make you walk through millions of aisles to get to the milk. And in the process, you spend your money, she says. I'm not the guru of spending. I have my blinkers on, but I still buy too much at the supermarket if I go. Between her big supermarket shops, Miss Peterson visits local shops for fresh fruit, vegetables, and milk. I suppose bringing it down to that micro level is probably a good thing too. Bulk cooking saves money. Stress. Why is there a comma stress? Anyway. By spending one weekend a month cooking, Miss Peterson's family of 4 were able to feed themselves for $40 a week. Ah, gotcha. We're cooking in bulk, so we're putting together freezer meals for an entire month, she says. Her family eat frozen meals 5 nights a week with cook fresh nights on Friday and Saturday. She makes meat dishes more economic by buying them. What? She makes meat dishes more economic by bulking them out with beans and blended vegetables. There you go. That's the sentence that you want. Not only does she save money by pre-preparing meals, she also reduces the stress of the work week. On weeknights, when you're busy coming home from business or work and stressed, you can pull out a little shepherd's pie straight out of the freezer and into the oven, she says. We're serving an hour a night. We're saving an hour a night, no washing up, no dishes, no worries. It's good. That's a good theory. So here's part of that.
When it comes to
interview.
making a little go a long way, my next guess is, and
then I turned it into something a little bit more than a spreadsheet. And look, it's such
Okay,
a
well-
shop, a huge grocery shop. Pulled out my best culinary skills as the basic home cook mum that I am, and the calculator, of course. Then I even, with my little IT background, wrote myself a little program.
you had a little spreadsheet
I
there
had a
too,
little
didn't you?
spreadsheet, and then I turned it into something a little bit more than a spreadsheet. And look, it's such a simple book when you look at it at the end of that process.
What did you find out?
I found it was possible.
And not only possible, but
It's now
even less.
Yeah, now the dinners are $1. This is the thing that bothered me.
Oh, here we go.
Dinners are now $1.02, and I said to my husband,
Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? $1.02 a serving per meal.
And I said to my husband, I am so upset about that 2 cents.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. That is a very good theory, and yeah, saving is a huge thing, particularly these days if you want to save money, particularly if you want to just put it aside for one's future or however that works. But Yeah, if you don't mind eating the same thing for the same meal every single day for the rest of eternity. I mean, I like a bit of variety in the weekly meal. I mean, I can eat the same thing for like 2 days, and if taking that to work or for lunch, and instead of buying lunch at work, you take leftovers to work and heat them up and do all that, and then you have your lunch break and you don't have to worry about that lunch break too. So that's also another thing too. Like if you take the leftovers to work, you don't have to worry about, okay, lunch is sorted. Cool, one thing to tick off my theoretical to-do list, and that's fine. I mean, yeah, everyone has their own ways, and the family budget is something that I could dig deep down on, but I will choose not to right now because we have to take an ad break. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, well, China's Belt and Road Initiative could withdraw the map on global trade. We'll tell you more as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. It's a pleasure as always. It's 9:31.
Hey you! Yes, you, fine listener of this program. You can help us become more than what we already are. I know, it's a revolution. Hold on to your butts, because I'm about to give you a URL address that could change our lives. Not really, but it would help us out tremendously if you went over to geek-io.net/support, so we can do a lot more than what we're actually doing now. That website actually has a lot of links on it where you can help us out monthly through Patreon at our Patreon site at patreon.com/geekio, or you can help us out once off by supporting those who support us. But then you can become the ones who support us, who support you, who support us. It's Supportception. To continue this Supportception, it's in your hands. Go to geek-io.net/.
Generic Live Show is sponsored by Tweaked Audio. With 7 styles and 7 colours, there are mic'd and non-mic'd options available. Designed to sound great with music and talk, and engineered for durability. All options come with a lifetime guarantee and a noise-reducing design. Compatible with all of your devices, even those weird Windows phones. We have an exciting offer just for you. If you use our coupon code GEEK at checkout, you'll receive a third off your order plus free worldwide shipping. Head on over to tweakedaudio.com to check out the range. And when you're ready to order, use coupon code GEEK, that's GEEK, GEEK, at checkout for a third off and free worldwide shipping. We thank Tweaked Audio for their support. You finally found the most generic live show. This is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's Dale Campbell here with you. It's a pleasure always. Now, breaking news. Probably not breaking, but we're gonna say it's breaking news because it wasn't something that showed up throughout the week, and it's just shown up. The headline makes me sad. Girl 5 in tears after copping a $250 fine over homemade lemonade store. We're going to play the video on this one because this has to require an explanation. I know I was going to be talking about, trade and something serious, but this is taken.
This new Subaru Outback of mine is one hell of a motor car. Space age technology.
No, it's not about a motor car.
Inside and out
Indeed, it's not about a motor car, but so we can check off the obligatory ad interrupts
As I thought a bit
That's
more about it, I realised that this is quite wrong. It's stopping our kids from getting out there and giving things a try.
So a 5-year-old girl has been fined setting up a lemonade stand near her London home. The youngster and her father created the store together, selling drinks for people on their way to a nearby festival. I'd hate this.
Enforcement officers came up to us, approached us very legalistically and began reading off a script I'm sure they've read hundreds of times before, talking about infringement upon local trading standards, etc. We had this fine, and if we paid within 14 days, then it would be only £90 rather than 150. And then they walked away, and halfway through this, my daughter burst into tears and started saying, "I've done a bad thing, Daddy, I've done something wrong." And I was holding her while she sobbed, and it was quite heart-wrenching.
Of course, the fine was cancelled after it gained attention. We're very sorry about this happened, but we can expect our enforcement officers to show some common sense. Clearly, it does not happen. That's a statement.
I think initially she was a bit shocked and sad, and then I suggested we try it again with the permits, and she said, "Oh, it's a bit scary," but I think hopefully in the future, she might give something like this a try again.
I feel sorry for her. Oh my god. She's a 5-year-old kid. I mean, the dad was there too, but it's a 5-year-old kid showing some initiative. First of all, oh, cute. Second of all, it's just stories like this. Just why? Why do people? I get that there are laws, and I get that you have to do what you have to do, but can't you, when it's a 5-year-old, can't you just go, "Oh, sweetie, you shouldn't be doing this with the permanents, you really shouldn't be doing this with the permits, this is not a good thing to do. Your parents then, let the parents, know that the permit has to be, and if they're caught again, just not don't do the thing." Right? I hope this 5-year-old child, I hope this 5-year-old child continues to sell lemonade, and I know that they've got the permits now, and it kind of all worked out in the end, but it's just, it got warm and fuzzy inside just then. Oh, live reaction. Dale listens to stories about children and melts on the internet. Now to trade. What a strange show. We go from talking about a 5-year-old, a cute, heartwarming story about a 5-year-old, to China's Belt and Road Initiative. From lemonade stands to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Oh, Jesus. GLS, always just knocking it out of the park. So I do have to put that story in here. Just to be safe, but no, warm and fuzzy story of the day. There you go. But yeah, I know everything worked out fine, and everyone's not, everything was being sorted out, but did the police officers really have to do that? That sucks. That really, really sucks on their part. But from lemonade stands to South China Sea operations, it's a $1 trillion project that could redefine global trade and mark a tipping point for a new Asian century. There you go. But despite large ambition and a vast scale, it is relatively little that is known about how China's great plan might work in practice. With Aussies companies being told to get any action before it's too late, here's what you should know about the global project that could redraw the map. Ooh. China's Belt and Road Initiative. China is working to develop a vast network of railways and ports dubbed the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, that includes Silk Road Economic Belt overland and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, which is a series of ports and railways. Combined, the plan will include more than 60 countries, 4.4 billion people, that's billion with a B, people passing through Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, covering up to 40% of the global GDP. In one fell swoop. It is expected to cost at least 900 billion with a B, with estimates up to 3 times that. China has already pledged more than 100 billion with a B, and it is completed with a series of bilateral projects, such as a 46 billion with a B, China to Pakistan economic corridor, or a 5.2 billion with a B railway that will eventually link Laos with Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore. Wait, those don't already exist? That seems like a thing that should already exist. The Chinese embassy says the overall vision, quote unquote, is to build a, quote, road of peace, prosperity, opening up innovation and civilization, unquote, that is open for collaboration with other countries, and it is inspired by the accent Silk Road. I said silk before, but I meant Silk Road. It said, and over the next 5 years, China will spend up to 1 trillion with a T in participating countries. So it goes. So the railway. I'm confused on. So it's basically essentially a loop. Is that how that works? But it can't be a loop because that doesn't really work. Because that's not over water. I don't understand how this diagram works. Someone explain how does a diagram work? Generic live show. Enjoy. So it goes from China down through Laos, Thailand, and out to the ocean there, I guess. High-speed rail from Thailand to China has already been funded by the Thai government. There you go. So it'll loop around from China all the way through Kazakhstan, all through there, through Turkey, over through to Poland, through Germany. And then the next one is from Italy all the way down through Egypt, Saudi Arabia, out through some Slavonia, is that? And then out through Africa, Middle East. India's there. It does things. Sri Lanka, out through Singapore, down to Indonesia, up through Malaysia, and out through there. Huh. Okay. I think that's how that works. I cannot confirm. All right. The tipping point. The enormous venture has been called the quote-unquote big story in Asian business that could redefine global trade. Combined with US President Trump to pull out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, some could suggest that it's a signal to start with China's becoming the leader of the globalized exports. SOAS, China Institute expert, excuse me, wow, I'm tired, Dr. Yanka Kabaosi, said while China President Xi Jinping, wow, woo, Dale Settle Pedal, 2013 speech on the plan has seen it hyped to as a quote-unquote new strategy, is actually a combination of an old idea to assert Chinese potential and economic power. The initiative is a complex one, she told news.com.au. It is encompassive of areas of security and economics and is also China's challenge to the US hegemony. It is a part of the parcel of China's trying to assist itself in raising power and having this influence in power politics commiserate their status. One Belt, One Trap is the next headline here. China has touted the project as a way of connecting and developing some of the most diverse countries in the world, providing economic opportunities to left-behind regions. However, it is also widely seen as a way of creating markets for Chinese goods, which helps solve the problem of overcapacity for China. Meanwhile, strategic and geopolitical overtones reinforce its dominance in the region. There you go. They have all of it under around their little finger, so I suppose that would make sense why they wouldn't want China to have the whole control. Quote, "No one's being preserved as a threat" is something that the Chinese is very conscientious about, so they trying to package it the way of saying, we're investing in infrastructure. Can't you see? Isn't this a fun time for everyone? We're investing in infrastructure. We control it all, but hey, you can use it if you want. Others have been less diplomatic. Chinese expert Tom Miller told BBC parts of it could be described as a giant bribe. Well, duh. Sorry, but yes, that's what China's going to use it for. That's the whole. That's kind of part of the point, is that China would have control over everything. Then they would control what passes through their belt and what kind of comes around and what goes on the circle. I mean, yeah, they can bribe with other countries about what they can do or can't do on the line. And if China likes something, they're gonna bribe their way to it. I'm sorry, but that's just der Fred. I shouldn't criticize news reporters, but just how is Lau going to pay it back? Oh no! In practice, it's going to pay back with natural resources, he says. This railway could metaphorically become a conveyor belt for exporting valuable mineral resources out of the country to China. Again, der Fred. That's kind of the point. So China can then on-sell it, can on-sell it and keep the profits. I mean, yes, but also this is going to cost like $1 trillion with a T, and that's also going to be something that's worth considering as well. It's going to cost a heck of a lot of money, and whether this money is going to be paid up front or not's a whole nother story. But what about us? The project. What will the project mean to Australia remains to be seen, with local companies being encouraged to explore how they might be able to get on board. A working group between the two countries has been established, but with Jean Dong saying in May that Aussie companies need to stop being arrogant and domestically focused in order to get a piece of the hot market in China, the Chinese hot market. Well, yes, but also we need to be domestically focused, because for some reason people in this country still think that there's a coal boom. So we haven't really got all of our stuff together, and if we haven't got all of our stuff together, well, how can we quote unquote invest in a hot deal in China, unquote? And you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, we have to get everything in our arsenal correct first before we look at being involved with this Chinese investment railway belt, which, what benefit would it have for us directly? We don't have any stake in the belt. As per seen, we're not a part of the belt. It stops at Indonesia. So if we sell something to Indonesia and Indonesia tries to on-sell that to China, we don't have any control over that because it's no longer in our kind of possession. So what would be the point on jumping into that, when we're still trying to figure out ourselves domestically, and B, most of our exports go to Indonesia anyway. It's just a matter of wanting control over those exports after they leave. Wow, I went on a rant and I didn't mean to. So here, but meanwhile, also in addition to that, Bishop criticises the South Sea operations, and here's that proof.
Julie Bishop says Australia continues to oppose the construction of artificial reefs and the militarisation in the South China Sea. This was during her visit to India. Miss Bishop made the comments during her tour of the subcontinent for talks with her Indian counterpart and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
It's important that all states respect international laws, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, using it to guide their behaviour and resolve disputes. This is how countries in our region need to resolve disputes, including in the South China Sea. And we continue to oppose the construction of artificial reefs and the militarisation of those structures in the South China Sea.
During her time in India, the Foreign Minister has signed a key renewable energy initiative and says both countries are working on a free trade deal.
There you go. Oh, isn't everyone getting along? But that's true. We do still oppose that. That is also a very good point. That audio courtesy of Sky News, and that is a very good point. That we oppose that, and it's kind of that one piety, or I don't know what you mean. I do apologize. I don't. Yeah. I need to put that disclaimer up. Thank you for that reminder. But that is what that is. So there you go. As we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, well, we're going to be continuing our series of a series of review of a review. This is where we do kind of take movies and we take their reviews and we kind of tear them apart right here live on the show as we continue here on the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us. It's Dale Campbell here with you. It's 9:52.
Hey you! Yes you, fine listener of this program. You can help us become more than what we already are. I know, it's a revolution. Hold on to your butts because I'm about to give you a URL address that could change our lives. Not really, but it would help us out tremendously if you went over to geek-io.net/support so we can do a lot more than what we're actually doing now. That website actually has a lot of links on it where you can help us out monthly through Patreon at our Patreon site at patreon.com/geekio, or you can help us out once off by supporting those who support us. But then you can become the ones who support us, who support you, who support us. It's Supportception. To continue this Supportception, it's in your hands. Go to geek-io.net/support to keep this ever-long cycle of support up. Thank you.
Whether we're waking you up or putting you to sleep, this is the Generic Live Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday. Whether you're waking up with us or putting you to sleep, thanks for joining us here on the Generic Live Show. Although on the podcast it doesn't really matter because you can listen to it in the middle of the day. I suppose some people are waking up or going to sleep in the middle of the day anyway. So there you go. Doesn't really matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back for another round of review of a review. This is where we take movies that are popular-ish and we review the reviews. We read reviews of them and kind of review those reviews. Super meta? I know. But there you go. This is here we go. So this is the first review is called Duped by War. Wow, that's a good title. That is a very good title. Most of these ones are like, movie sucks, or this is stuff, and this is stuff. Wow. Duped by War is quite good of a title. I will give this one in. It's 1 star. I won't give the author name, but they're from the US. This one is called, this is the first time I've ever compelled to write an IMDb review. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Sure. That happens. Righto. This movie should have about 6 stars and hopefully will before it's all done. Okay. Side jag. This person's given it 1 star and hopes that it gets 6. That makes sense to exactly that many people. But anyway, we'll move on. There is very little war with the humans, capital H. The actual fight scenes are full of glaring plot holes. Okay. Apparently, our army cannot locate and fight a bunch of tribal apes despite having access to all the technology you would expect. I really wanted to see a movie invoked ape civilization, but they are almost taken backwards to create sympathy. This leaves the movie being a more political movie. I should have watched Spider-Man this weekend. Well, okay, first of all, this review kind of goes into a little bit of detail about having that sort of, sure, I didn't like it because it had a 1 star though, and should have watched Spider-Man this weekend. I'm the only person on planet Earth that apparently likes the new Spider-Man movie, but didn't really there wasn't too crash hot on this one, and yeah, I haven't seen more of the Planet of the Apes, so I don't really know. Okay, so this one is called Absolutely Tush. Wow, I'm glad. Now we're back to these titles. All right. For what of a better word, athological, but only in the sense that the writers defaulted to familiar historical events and Bible storylines to compose an anti-context, challenge-bereft script. Challenge-bereft script. In parts, I questioned whether I was watching a movie tailored to the intelligently inspired So Bandel and Dan Brown-like were then served dripping with sriracha symmetrically and heartstring tugging music swats. What? Sure. Whatever. Okay. This review is not making any sense, but okay. And as a showcase for state-of-the-art CGI, it was ... a showcase state-of-the-art CGI. Nothing more. Okay, sure. Recent reboot, 1 nailed it, 2 flawed it, 3rd failed it. Ooh. Get your filthy paws off my franchise, you damn dirty animator. Okay, first of all, good punch, good paw joke at the end there. That was nicely played, I guess. I'm not too sure. This next one is really good. Okay, we're gonna end on this next one. Dumbest movie I've seen in 7 lifetimes. Oh, great! This review is even good. My day's gotten a whole lot better. Dumbest movie I've seen in my 7 lifetimes. Last I checked, humans only get 1 lifetime. Wasn't that a song? You only get 1 chance. Yeah, that's the Eminem song. Don't miss your... you better lose yourself in the music. Do the... Yeah, that song. Okay. Really awful, says this reviewer of the United States. I would have much been watching Despicable Me 3, and that's an honest statement. I'm not making that up, that's the sentence. And that's an honest statement. Well, we've got one person who'd much rather be watching Spider-Man 2, watching Spider-Man, and then the next people Other people would rather be watching Despicable Me 3. Okay, got it. Waste of money. Please pay yourselves $15 or whatever your current denomination of my is. Sure. And that says detonation of my is. Gotcha. I swear they never researched how US military even works or how they operate. Sure. They would have had to have, but go on. I get that it's supposed to be a run-down military, excuse me, but at Research 1, why do they not drop a bomb on where they know the apes are? 2, did our surveillance and other tech just stop working when the virus was released? Oh, spoiler. Jeez. Please, 3, please, for the love of God, stop making these movies. Well, yes, because it's a rebooted franchise, and I think that's a trilogy if memory serves me correctly, so that's how that works. That is definitely how that works, but anyway. That is fun. Anyway, as we continue here on the Generic Live Show for a Sunday, well, Comic-Con just happened, and we're going to run down stuff from the Marvel and the DC Cinematic Universe that just got unveiled. That's coming up right at ya. Generic Live Show for a Sunday. It's 10:01